The drama surrounding Caitlyn Clark's return began with a whisper in an empty gym and grew into a tremor that rolled across the league. A camera phone caught her first steps, short jogs, soft jumpers, a couple of feeds to teammates, and suddenly the WNBA's calm month fractured. Practice shirts, not game whites. Controlled movements, not fourth-quarter bursts. But she was back on a court, and that alone shifted the ground. Stephanie White said what mattered out loud. Clark went through the walkthrough. Now they need to see her in live practice. Contact, 94 feet. Not for a drill, for an entire stretch, sustained through fatigue without regression. That was the bar. It wasn't posturing. It was the only responsible path after weeks lost to a groin that refuses shortcuts. Still, everyone heard the same subtext. This isn't a shutdown, this is a ramp. The Fever have been living on a tightrope. Sophie Cunningham out. Arie McDonald. Sydney Colson gone. Chloe Beebe managing the knee. A guard rotation shredded and patched, the offense stripped of its geometry. Without Clark's gravity, the spacing collapsed into YMCA angles. Aaliyah Boston saw bodies stack in the paint. Kelsey Mitchell emptied the tank to keep pulses steady. Leads bled out in third quarters. It wasn't a slide. It was erosion. Then the clips landed. Clark in motion. Clark handling. Clark talking through sets. Not full contact, not a green light, but enough to turn comment sections into sirens. Fever. Fans called it hope. Rival fronts called meetings. Everyone else called their friends and said, "She's close." White drew the line with clarity. She needs multiple practices at game speed to prove the groin holds when her lungs burn and her legs get heavy. That's the only test that counts. And they can simulate it even without a formal team session. 3s, 4s, the right bodies. To bump, tag, hedge, and make her play through the same collisions she'll see when the lights are on. "When we get fatigued, we look different," White said. That's where re-injury hides. That's where a season can slip. The schedule turned the volume up. Sparks, Valkyries, Mercury, Sky, Mystics, Lynx. Tiebreakers already in the bank for others. 2 losses and you're breathing through a straw. 1 win in the right place and the room opens again. Quietly, 1 date began to glow on fan calendars. A Friday night in Los Angeles, a must-have against a direct rival. It might be the moment. It might be too soon. It might be both. The ripple effect is the point. Clark isn't just a star. She's the gravity well. With her on the floor, defenders stretch to 30 feet. Help arrives a beat later, and Boston's catches turn clean. Mitchell stops playing superhero for 38 minutes and becomes a finisher again. Hard cuts matter. Weak side shooting matters. Everything breathes. A Clark at 80% doesn't just help. She alters the math of how you guard Indiana. That's why the league felt the room tilt. Sparks head on a swivel, Valkyries recalculating. Mystics double-checking rotations. Coaches who dismissed her now have to build a wall to the logo again. Players who talked when she was out now have to contest the same shots they joked about on social. And the officials, the same crews who let early season elbows slide and dared fans to frame by frame their work, are back under a microscope. Every missed whistle lives forever when Clark plays. It's not just a player's safety in the balance, it's credibility. The question was never purely medical, it was existential. Without Clark, the league slipped into a low hum. Diehards. Locked in, everyone else on cruise. With her, the heat returns in an instant. Ratings spikes, sold-out pockets, a nightly debate about how she's guarded and whether anyone can stop her 10 steps behind the line. Kathy Angelberg said the quiet part in measured tones. No league is about one player. But every metric this season has traced the same outline. With Clark, the needle jumps. Without her, it drifts. Indiana knows the stakes best. They've been dragging through survival mode, workarounds, hardship contracts, new faces and new minutes, learning on the fly. The irony is that their fight bought time just as the clips of Clark resurfaced. Win without her and you can be patient. Lose and temptation knocks. The only anchor is honesty. If she can handle contact, sustain pace, and wake up pain-free, she plays. If not, you wait, even when the standings scream. There's a human gear in all of this. Clark isn't wired for passive. She carried Iowa through March nights that felt like steel cables. She stepped into this league firing from the logo like it was routine. She doesn't ease back. She competes. That's the gamble and the draw. The Shut It Down chorus has logic. Groins linger, and Indiana isn't a title favorite, but there's a counterweight you can't spreadsheet. What it means to the locker room, to the fan base, to the player herself, to feel the thing that makes you who you are light up again. Picture the scene the internet is already writing. Sparks. Tight game. Clark in a minutes cap. 20 points, a late relocation 3, a slip pass to Boston for a dagger. Phones melt. Talk shows lead. The playoff math flips in a single night. It isn't fair to demand it. It's not unrealistic to imagine it. Meanwhile, the panic isn't all enemy lines. The WNBA's past month proved how quiet things get without her. No nightly clip wars. No officiating autopsies at dawn. No casuals knocking on the door. Her return brings all of it back. The glares, the grudges, the rewinds, the receipts, and the attention that pays the bills. The league can't dress that up as anything else. They don't have to. It's the cost of mattering. So the fever. Keep building lanes for her to merge into, repping contact, stacking practices, testing that groin under stress, and then testing it again. White keeps the standard high. Boston keeps battling through doubles. Mitchell keeps pouring in the tough ones, and Clark keeps inching toward the line that separates tentative from inevitable. When she crosses it, someone's season changes overnight. Maybe Indiana's, maybe a rival's, maybe the league's spotlight, snapping back to where it always wanted to be. Should she return now to pull the fever into the postseason race, or shut it down and guard the long view? If she plays, which bubble team gets burned first? Drop your take below, and if you're riding with the comeback, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the moment it happens.